to our podcast Lift Me Up. My name is Valerie.
My name is Borut.
Today we are in a very special place. We are at our cabin in Kočevski Rog in Slovenia. We are just behind the cabin under our beautiful tree, Lipa.
Linden tree.
Linden tree.
Linden tree, like few hundred years old. It's really mighty, and it gives us a beautiful shade in this hot summer.
Yeah, finally we had some time that we could go here because lately, if you were listening to our podcast, you could hear all about our projects. We had so much new things to do. Borut was really pushing a lot to finish the renovation in his studio. It's still not completely finished, right?
No.
But finally we had some time off. And while we were driving here in this Kočevski Rog, this is another region in Slovenia. We live an hour and a half away, right?
Yep.
We were talking about dreams and goals in different lifetimes, in different periods of our life.
Yeah, when we talk about dreams and when we talk about ambitions, we always talk from the point of singularity, so to speak, point of a singularity in this time, this stage, this age, this situation that you are living in, and but what I've learned, and I think it's universal finding, is that we change when we age. We change our goals, our dreams. Some of them become our professions, so that they change like that. But most of the dreams, they either fade or they change. They grew in something else. But so I think it's a very interesting theme, and I think it's something that we have to have in mind also when we are talking and thinking about the dreams, goals that we are planning to achieve now. So I think it's a very interesting thought about that. So tell me, when you were a kid, what dreams you had, and how many of them got realized?
Maybe the first thought or dream in life I remember was maybe that I become independent. That was like even when I was a little kid, I was already thinking of like having my own house and all that stuff. Although I was always concerned, like, okay, yeah, I can have a house and a car and everything, but who's gonna clean that? Who's gonna cook? I couldn't do that when I was a kid, so that was the concern. But then, of course, there was a lot of pressure from like the society. Everybody's asking you, even when you go to the kindergarten, yeah, what do you want to be when you grow up, and all that stuff. And I never really had this one thing to say, but if I had to pick, I always said that I want to be veterinarian because I really liked all the animals. I enjoyed my weekends at my granny's house. She had a big farm. So I was really like focused. Okay, if I need to become something, because people were asking me, although I was happy as a kid, like I'm good. I don't need to be anything else. I'm just a kid. But yeah, I was dreaming of becoming veterinarian. Although later on, yeah, as we talked, many periods in my life, this definitely changed because later on I realized what does it mean. It's not just, having fun with animals, petting them, enjoying their company, but you need to make operations, you need to open the animal, like you treat them, you see them sick, and that's actually really tough profession.
And you have to put them to sleep.
To sleep. It's not just fun and games,
Yeah.
but yeah, that was my goal.
Yeah.
What was your dream when you were a kid?
My first dream job as a kid that I remember was to be a driver of a bulldog, of a Volvo. We had this Volvo crane. I said, wow, this is the best job in the world. And of course, I had one of my friends. He was a lie. He lied so much, he was like pathologically lying, like about everything, like that. And his uncle did everything.
He was a kid as well.
Yeah, it was my generation. His uncle, not only that he was a driver of a bulldog, he owned a bulldog. His uncle was also landing on the moon, and everything, and everything in between. So that was one of the ideas. Well, that was like the earliest idea. And then I was obsessed with airplanes, like lots of
Before you
kids.
got this airplane obsession, what was the breaking point for you for like driving the bulldog? Because for
Oh,
me it was
what?
like realization that animals, treating animals is not as fun. But what was your realization?
Well, I never met anybody who would, you know, be, because I never have seen this profession from close.
Ah,
So I just admired the big machine, the knowledge that you need to have while driving and operating it, what this big machine can actually do,
that's true. Yeah.
and all that. And also how beautiful it is. You know, it was old machine was very beautiful. And now I remember, and this is actually,
Mm.
I remember these dreams only because this company that I grew up beside, Novolis, got bankrupt, and just recently I have seen this old bulldog still there.
Hmm.
So it's like an old timer from 70s or something like that, and it looks now through my eyes, from today's eyes, it looks so obsolete, so ridiculous, so, and actually so weak actually now, you know, because I know other, I
You've
can
seen
compare.
bigger.
Yeah, I have seen bigger. And it was like, it's just amazing how this dream job changes.
Now you reminded me about also one job I wanted to do. It was also just a short period, but how you see we are also influenced a lot by environment, company we are hanging around with, and I was obsessed with one TV series, MacGyver.
Okay.
So I just wanted to be MacGyver. It's like dream job. It's not even a job. It's just
So then you got me.
yeah.
I,
So
I also have a Swiss Army knife.
yeah, yeah, this is the guy who is fixing everything with
I,
Swiss Army knife, and he has long hair as well, I think. So
I don't know.
dream job achieved.
Yeah, you didn't got a dream job. You got like
Assistant.
employee, employee.
So yeah, this MacGyver was also my like idea what I want to be, but again, my dreams were crashed because then all my cousins, they were my main company back then, they were really bullying me like you cannot never be a MacGyver because you're a woman, he's a man. So that was a big
Uh,
pressure on me. So that's also then my dreams were crashed.
but you know, I like more multitasking and more capable woman that you're probably the most capable and the most operating and the most smart and the most like a woman that can handle so many things at the same time. It's like I think your MacGyver came true. Not only did you have a PhD in science and robotics and AI, artificial intelligence, you also love to cook,
Oh yeah,
love to work with a
housewife.
chainsaw. With a chainsaw is your obsession.
Oh yeah.
With chainsaw, what else, and so on.
Everything.
Yeah.
So maybe now, where I'm thinking, because you're mentioning, you still need to talk about your airplane obsession, but you mentioned these big machines and your dream of being this construction worker. You are basically doing that now because you are like renovating, you're working with hands.
Yeah.
If you had a bulldog here, I'm sure you would use it a lot.
Yeah.
So maybe these dreams we have as kids, we somehow channel them, but later on through some, I don't know, other activities, not like a job.
You know, the thing is, it's very funny when you mention that because, well, it's not funny, but it's a very good point because only in the last period, last couple of years, I am, I changed. So actually, I am really building with my hands. Well, the truth is that when I started to do wet plate collodion process, you have to do it by yourself. You know, it's
This is
not.
the photography
Yeah,
process you
this is
can
the
mention.
photography part that I'm expert in. We are talking about 19th century handmade photography. We are talking about times of 1850s to 1890s. So when you had to make your own camera, you have to fix your own camera, you have to mix all the chemistry, and you know you have to be, you have to do lots of stuff by hand to actually make it happen. It's not like you went to the shop and you just buy
You
a
just press a
camera,
button and you're done.
or you know, download another preset and off you go, you know. So but literally, like, to be my father was like that. He was working all everything. Like he started to do everything, like from cooking to making everything with meat and eating. He was also that
True
was
Balkan spirit.
he was very passionate about that, and also he looked very passionate in that way.
That's important.
uh, and but also, like, he built two houses with his hands, and lots of stuff, you know. And unfortunately, I didn't learn. Looking back, I didn't learn all that I could from him. But it's also true that, in my defense, he was always treating me as somebody who would stand beside and looking, and then handing a hammer and handing a tool, and doing like that. You know, I could not do that. You know, as a teenager, you know, if I would have a challenge in front of me, you know, I spent like days and nights in a dark room, you know, working by myself and figuring out and building my own world. And my father was working on his own world, which is house and everything around. So we didn't work together. We couldn't really work together because of my teenage rebellion and his inability to actually approach me and give me a challenge that I will find it worthy. So anyway, so the point is, I changed again, and I can see my father as a role model in that. You know, he could, when we talked about what things we have to do in the cabin. You know, I mean, you know, that's like really little what my father did in his life, you know, and so on. But it was also different times and everything. But nevertheless, you know, I've changed.
You become the handyman and all that when you were a kid, dreaming just to be like really
Yeah.
capable man doing stuff
For me, it was kind of
with
photography.
material.
Was kind of like a way of exit. Um, I went to the school for carpentry. But you know, my heart was never there. Even my head was never there. I've done everything necessary to pass, and this was like the minimum of what it was asked from me. But the rest, I was not there, like, to actually learn something. But so I was in photography all the, like, full time, you know. So
Was it this passion of yours, like being a photographer, was this like a dream before you started with aviation?
aviation was my obsession when I was a kid, literally, like, before age of 15. Um, like, in my room, the whole wall was full of stickers, not stickers, cut out articles from the magazines, which were talking about different airplanes from Soviet Union to Allies. I knew everything, like what's the difference between um, F-14 A, B, C, D version. You know, I knew all that kind of very uh, deep inside, and I was following that very closely. But and not talking about the Second World War. You know, I knew everything about uh, defending the island of England and so on. So that was like my obsession. But you know, when I was at age 11, I burned myself with gasoline. I almost died, and I consequently, I was my file for like for medicine was
Medical file.
medical file was like was not even one. There were like two. There were like so many tests and so many. And you know, they said, you know, for a military pilot you have to be perfect. Like, health has to be perfect. Not even a tooth filling. You should not have not even a single tooth filling. And
So they crashed your dreams basically.
yeah, and I said, okay, I will not be a pilot. Um, Later, actually, I became a pilot of a gliding plane. For a couple of years, I was flying a glider plane, and my dream came true. Then I said, okay, now I'm at peace with it. I can stop thinking about that. But you know, I started to be a carpenter. I mean, to do carpentry because at the time, although I was still doing I was already doing photography very passionately, but I had really bad Soviet camera, which the light meter didn't work, so I didn't really had nothing to show in a photography sense. So
But you were already feeling this passion, like you sensed it's something that attracts you to use the camera, right?
well, the camera is that's the thing. Like when I got burned myself with gasoline, and I was like a month or something like that, or more than a month in the hospital. When I came out, I was really weak, and I couldn't play basketball or run, which I used to do. So I pick up the camera, you know, which was like my father's camera, and I learned how to use it, and that's how I started to do some other focus on some other creative things. So that's how it happened, and
The new dream started.
and then I went, but as I said, then I started to do wet plate. No, a wet plate. I did like carpentry school, but you know, my focus was already to do photography. And I remember very clearly when I got myself first European camera Practica, which was working actually. For me, that was, and I got like 2 or 3 lenses, and that was for me, you know, a miracle. And I photographed every single day, you know, and developed pictures and so on.
Yeah, that when you're talking about the camera, I also remember the period just before my teenage period. My father had also a video camera, video recorder, and a video camera, and he was using it a lot on family gatherings, and
Yeah,
always he was recording everything, which is in a way interesting now when we look back this vintage footage.
yeah,
He's never on the video, he's always just in
yeah,
the background commenting on what's happening, which is kind of fun. But still, I was really attracted to that camera. He had it somewhere in like on a shelf I couldn't reach as a kid, but he was away a lot because he was traveling for work, and somehow this camera was always really a thing I really wanted to have, like, oh, I need to use that. So I was observing him a lot when he was using it, and then I realized how it works somehow. I knew you had to put inside a little cassette, and then you know how to turn it on and all that. And I started always when he was absent at work abroad. I was stealing this camera and just recording over these cassettes. I didn't realize it's like family
yeah,
gatherings and important footage, and I was just doing my own stuff. I didn't tell anyone. So a lot of our family footage was just
erased.
erased. And when my father realized one time, I remember because it was like anniversary of something, and he said, "Oh, let's watch the video I recorded 10 years ago." It's like he put it on, and everybody was watching, and I was recording a neighbor's dog a lot. So he started to scream like, "Ah, damn, what are all those dogs' asses?" He realized I was doing that. So he's still teasing me sometimes with that. But through playing with this camera, I realized I can, you know, create some stories. I was just inventing my own, like, cartoons in my head, short movies, all that. So I was growing in a family which doesn't have anything with arts. Like, nobody from my family is in film industry, in photography, in anything. They're all engineers, chemistry, and all that. But I think if I would grow in another family when somebody would do some art, that maybe already then I would know I want to be an artist or something like that. Later on, somehow organically it happened for me, and
Yeah,
everybody was teasing me when I picked then the secondary school. You know, it was an art school, and everybody was shocked, like, where did I find the art school? Because
yeah,
nobody in my brother family ever went to art school. But maybe there's, since we're talking also about profession and passion and dreams, maybe we are born with something already. Because I'm thinking, how did I came with this idea to go into arts? Because I don't know if I was influenced with somebody. I don't remember. I mean, father in a way was a role because he was constantly recording, but not, you know, to make
yeah.
movies, just to document
Document, yeah.
life. So maybe in a way he gave me a little idea.
Hmm.
But I'm thinking now, is it something we are born with? You know, some kind of talent that is constantly coming out? Or is it just a coincidence?
Well, who will know? Because you yourself, you changed your careers many times. But
Yeah.
let's and like because most of the people and friends, then they know you. They don't know that you are actually. Probably they don't know that you are, and definitely the viewers do not know. And you're probably also your co-workers in army. They don't know that you are actually have a BA degree in film directing and theater direction. Is that
Yeah.
so? Is that so?
So yeah, when we are talking about changing the dreams in careers or like life periods, for me, yeah, I had a big shift in my life, a couple of them, but this is maybe the biggest to illustrate. So I was working for 10 years, first as a classic film director on documentaries, on TV, our biggest commercial TV. Um, I was studying, I did a diploma actually from film directing. But later on, after 10 years of doing that, somehow I got really too pressured, stressed, and all that. When I look back now, I realize I was not aware of that when I was doing it. But somehow I started to think beyond that, like, okay, maybe I'm caught up in this cycle of just proving myself constantly because, especially working in arts, later on I moved into intermedia arts, working with like virtual reality and
Yeah.
interactive art. At least in Eastern Europe, it's really difficult to sell any commercial things. So you're
Definitely.
constantly being pressured with getting enough funding, and this funding is then connected with public tenders, and all these public tenders are really just bureaucracy. So I was
Okay.
caught up in the bureaucracy, and then because I started to work a lot on my physical workout, I was losing
Yeah.
weight, doing a lot in that direction. The military for me was natural because they're constantly, even now, um, like talking about how to test your limits, you know. And I
Yeah.
was constantly, I heard in the background, join us and test your limits. What are your limits
Yeah.
and all that. So yeah, this was then
Yeah.
my limit again. But maybe if I look back to my MacGyver period, you know, also I really enjoyed playing. Now I just remembered with action figures. All of the neighbors, like there were some girls, they had Barbies, but many of my cousins had Action Men. Action Man is like a male version of a Barbie,
Yeah.
and all that Action Men were really interesting for me. They were military, basically, like different
Yeah.
commandos and whatever, some
Yeah.
police, and I was really attracted to that in a
Hmm.
way. So maybe I am now
Yeah.
channeling this Action Man era from my childhood.
You know, let's stir this podcast in one direction, which is, I think it was like, I don't remember, is it English or American or a poet, Kipling. Kipling, he
Mm-hmm.
made this poem, If, and in the poem says, um, if you can dream and don't make dreams your master, meaning like if you can dream but not make your dreams your master. You know what
Like
that
a
means?
slave of your dreams or
For
something.
for instance, I will pull from my how I understand that
Okay.
from my personal point of view. Like I wanted to be, army pilot. Then I realized actually it's not only that it's very difficult, but it's actually you have to bomb people. you have to do stuff that so. But more
A
than
lot of
that,
luggage.
more than that, I wanted to be a pilot, and then, but this inability that I will not be a pilot, it didn't ruin my life.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't. I later, we are talking 2001. I made the course for flying gliding plane, and I flew without several years without solo, So I've learned basics. I touched the base
The
of
dreams.
I touched the foundation of flying. I had this experience of flying above my house, and I was just kind of like, it was kind of out of body experience, literally. Like that's how I felt. Okay, Valerie, we see our dog. Her dreams are this thick. What are your dreams?
My recent
Current
dreams.
dreams.
Well, again, my life period is changing. Here I wanted to maybe mention that when I was Valerie in another relationship, I was another person. I mean, the foundations were the same, but all of the mojo around was different. And of course, because I was with another person, we had a little bit different goals together. I think it's also important when you are later on not a singularity, I mean a single person anymore, but you are a dual, like a pair. The dreams shift a little bit because of that, because you have more factors in all that thinking. So this is definitely something that is influencing me a lot, like being with you, making a family together. This is really important factor for me. And just before we became a couple, I was focused a lot on my career. I was really career driven. It was like my main goal, just to, I already realized what are the next steps for me to achieve higher like position at work, higher education, everything higher. I had a lot of like next steps, also living in different countries. I was not so much focused on living in Slovenia. So my dream was to be constantly on the road and also to like work with the biggest companies. But later on, when we also started, being a family and all that, I realized that maybe this is not something that really fulfills me. I feel much better when we're doing our thing, we're building a home. All of that is just like more resonating with me. But before we were together, I didn't realize how important this is for me, because I didn't had that. I mean, it was a
Yeah.
different situation. So my latest dreams are more focused on smaller scale, like stepping down a bit for this career. Of course, I still have some goals I want to achieve in professional level, um, but they are not really so far away that I just need to work for the next 10 years like crazy at work. But I want to build stuff with you, and this is
Oh,
my
thank you.
dream at
Thank
the
you.
moment. So I hope it lasts.
Of course, of course.
You'll see in my
Forever.
50s plus
Yeah,
what
of course.
happens.
That's how it is. Um,
And
yeah.
yours,
My
did they
dreams are,
change?
I said before, I will say it again, and I really mean it. And not only that I said it, I'm sure that other people can recognize that I'm a different man. I have changed. With you, I have found that literally that life gave me a second chance to get to the best of my abilities, what I can, and actually it's coming well together. It's coming. We are here at the cabin, which is due to our um, priorities being neglected. That's how it is, and also my Land Rover is being out of order for more than a year now. This kind of stuff, they're on the side. They're they lost their priority, or they at the moment, and that's how it is. Like if you have a if I can repeat what I said before, like if you have a purpose in your life, then you make sacrifices, those small sacrifices that used to be your dreams. But now, other dreams came, and we we are chasing them, and those dreams are either slowly fading, or they are lost their priority, and maybe they will come back. I'm sure that, like in a
Yeah.
we will see. But at the moment, that's how it is. Like I feel at peace by neglecting some dreams, and focusing on the others.
Yeah, I think, I mean, as far as I can also observe you, I can say that definitely you are pursuing these dreams, and I'm actually really proud that all the steps you were just putting on paper, now I also see them
Yeah.
live. And maybe we can mention to the listeners of the podcast that they should check your website,
Yeah.
borutpeterlin.com. A lot of new things are happening. Borut is starting online courses for photography,
Yep.
19th century photography. It's something that is worth mentioning, that it's a skill not many people in the world know, and it's
Yeah.
something that may be an idea for new dreams for some people who are listening,
Oh yeah,
because yeah,
definitely.
it's an interesting hobby but also a
Yeah.
profession.
I intend, that's not out there yet, but it's my intention that I will make a program for photographers, like for or amateurs or professionals, doesn't matter, like for photographers. That will be a rehab, especially for professional photographers who are sitting behind a computer for 98% of the time, are sitting behind a computer editing, writing emails, captioning, keywording, selling, and only a little bit here and there, click, 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 and then ship it fast as you can, and making like hundreds of or thousands of images and selecting 10 or whatever.
So
And I,
photography rehab for digital detox,
yes,
basically.
so actually to come back to the roots and to do photography as a miracle of physics and chemistry, that you start with something that is nothing, with using your golden hands, and then we build up something to have like an image, and then seeing an image appearing in front of your eyes. This is a vision that I have, that I'm working on. I'm not there yet to actually show it, to offer it, but it will be till the end of the year for sure.
I think it's important to share the passion, and also for today's podcast, the most important outcome, I would say, for discussion is for the people who had dreams and they had to change those dreams. It's okay. It's like often we are so pressured with, like, you know, tasks and these to-do lists and all that, but sometimes it's even okay to change. It's not
Yeah.
like things are set in stone. As people we develop, as personalities we grow,
Yeah.
but important is that we find the passion and we follow it.
And the dreams will change,
Yeah.
it will change. If they will not change, you will change.
Yeah.
Because I know that, like, I think Jim Carrey said, if I could, I would make everybody wish their dream come true. Everybody that would get rich, and everybody would get famous, and everybody would get, everything that they want, just to realize that getting everything that you want and becoming rich and famous, it will not make you happy.
Yeah.
So, is it okay to conclude?
Yes, I think it's a perfect time. Now we will go enjoy our perfect surroundings. We will go in the nature. Borut has a lot of handiwork to do, and I will just relax for today.
Okay.
So thank you for listening.
Thank you for
Subscribe and write us a comment.
And look at that. Bye.